What's going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? This is Sars here, bringing you a Smite God guide. This will be a beginner's guide to the Roman god of love, Cupid. Yes, that's right, this cute little guy shoots hearts of arrows, all this kind of good stuff, and he comes complete with a few support abilities. We've got ranged physical attacks going on, and overall, he's the complete package in one little cute little baby. Alright guys, in this section we're going to be talking about Cupid's abilities. First, let's take a look at his passive. Alright, Cupid's passive is called Love Struck. Every hit with the basic attack gives Cupid a 3% buff to the damage or healing of his next ability. This can be stacked up to 10 times. Upon reaching 10 stacks, the next Heart Bomb or Fields of Love will stun enemies for 1 second when they explode. Alright, so you can see this little counter down here in the bottom right here, kind of on the left side of the health bar. That is stacked up to 10 already. And this thing can be activated on either our number 1 ability or our ultimate ability, which would be the number 4 activated ability. So, without further ado, let's check out this first activated ability. We have Heart Bomb. Cupid fires an arrow that overwhelms the target with love, initially causing 180 plus 60% of your physical damage and slowing them by 35%. After 3 seconds, the target's heart explodes, dealing the same damage again to the target and all enemies within 20-foot radius. So it's a pretty cool ability. You put a little, ticking time bomb on them. It does a little damage at first, and this is one of those abilities that will be affected by your passive once that comes. So we're at 10 stacks of the passive now, so I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like. I'm going to try and put it on the Manticore here for the best effect, or this will work. Right there, does damage initially. When it explodes, boom, does damage in the AoE, as well as with my 10 stacks, it stuns for 1 second. Then, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, or bottom left-hand corner, I'm sorry, the stacks have reset, and now I'm back up to 3. And as I auto-attack, this is going to go up right all the way back up to number 10, and once it's at 10, once again, then it'll be activated the stun on your 1 or your 4. So let's check out his number 2 activated ability, Share the Love. Cupid places 3 floating hearts at his ground target location that heal himself or allied gods for 30 plus 40% of your physical damage when picked up. Cupid regens 30 mana for each heart that is picked up by an ally. The hearts persist for 8 seconds, and of course these cannot be picked up by your the minions. It has to be by other allied gods for this to work. You can place it this way. It's kind of like in a fountain. They kind of shoot out the 3 directions from where exactly you put it. So I'm just going to put it right there, show you guys what it looks like, and then you can go pick them up and they're going to heal you for 30 plus 40% of your physical power. And they don't regen my mana, but if someone else were to pick them up, they'd also be regenning your mana. Alright, now let's move on to his number 3 ability. It's called Flutter. Cupid flutters quickly forward, leaving a trail behind him for 6 seconds that increases all allies' movement speed by 35%. Cupid also gains 20% attack speed for 4 seconds after fluttering. So this is just a big dash, essentially, that leaves, similar to Agni's Flames behind, except that it leaves a little trail of hearts behind, which doesn't damage enemies at all or do any debuff at all to enemies, but what it does do is it buffs your allies' movement speed by 35%. So it's kind of like a combination of Hebo's water path and Agni's fire path that he does. It's kind of something like that. So anyway, and it buffs it's like a 20% attack speed buff. So like that, do it, and then I'm attacking faster this way. Now and then, of course, these hearts here, if allies are in it, they get the movement speed. Alright, moving on to our ultimate ability, which is called Fields of Love. Cupid fires an arrow of love into his ground target location, initially slowing all enemies in the area by 35%. The arrows grow in intensity until they explode, dealing 225 plus 120% of your physical damage. Enemies caught within the radius are also mesmerized for the next 3 seconds. Any damage done breaks the effect. So basically it's just a big old AoE. You rain down heart arrows, and the enemy is slowed, and when it goes off, it does a lot of damage, mesmerizing them, and if you have the 10 stacks, it will stun them for 1 second. Right now I do have the 10 stacks, so let's see what I can do right here. It's a pretty sizable AoE, as you can see. I'm gonna wait till I get a few creeps here. But I'm at 10 stacks, so this should stun. Not sure. Let's see. Make sure we get some creeps up here. Okay, here we go. I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to get out of this or not, but let's see. Well, he's backing up, so he's kind of scared. Come on, Manticore. All right, let's see what this does. All right, we got the heart arrows. He's slowed. Boom, he's stunned, he's mesmerized, and then if I attack him like that, it's going to take him out of the mesmerized state. So that's Fields of Love. Alright guys, now that we've looked at the abilities, we're going to be okay guys, now that we've looked at the abilities, I'm going to be just letting you guys know how I go about maxing out these abilities. Now to start the beginning of the game, I'm going to grab my number 1 ability, which is called Heart Bomb. After that, the second ability I'm going to be grabbing is my number 3, Flutter, as an escape to be able to dash, to escape ganks and all that kind of good stuff. Then thirdly, I'm going to be grabbing Share the Love, which is your heal for lane sustain, all that kind of good stuff, helping out allies. Now, as far as maxing the abilities go, first of all, I'm going to be maxing my 1, which is going to be the AoE bomb that does lots of damage, the single target that does the AoE damage around who you put that on. And then I'm going to be maxing my heal, which is the number 2, going back and forth between the heal, which is Share the Love, and Flutter. Flutter, you're going to be lowering the cooldown basically, but it doesn't really buff it much, so therefore I don't want to waste all the points into it. And then again, the heal isn't all that important either, so I kind of just go back and forth between Share the Love and Flutter, just to kind of bring them up evenly. If you feel like you really want that escape more often, you can just max the 3 second. If you'd rather have the bigger heal earlier on, then you can max the 2 after that. Then you can go ahead and max the 3 last. Of course, like always, you're going to be using your ultimate. You're going to be maxing up your ultimate as quickly as possible. As soon as it's available, you're going to grab it. And then at level 9, 13, 17, all that kind of good stuff, you're going to be leveling it up again. Okay, up next, we're going to be talking a little bit about the item build for Cupid. To start off the game, I'm going to go ahead and get 2 stacks of the Heart Seeker as well as 4 health potions. Now, what I'm going to do is keep an eye on my gold, and once I have enough gold to finish off the Heart Seeker and possibly buy one or two tiers of the Warrior Tabby, I'm going to back. Hopefully you won't have to back before that point. Go ahead and grab the Heart Seeker so that way you can start stacking it up, because it's got this nice passive that you gain physical power per stack. And you're going to want to, of course, get your boots for movement speed, physical power, crit, all that kind of good stuff. Yada, yada, yada. After that, I'm going to be going into Fatalis. Now, it's up to you how much you want to put in here. This is going to give you attack speed, which is obviously good for building up stacks on your passive. I may go only 1 stack, 2 stacks maybe at the most into this, just to be able to stack that passive up that much quicker. In the meantime, you're going to be finishing off your boots, getting that tier 2 or to tier 3 in your boots. After that, we're looking at getting Executioner. Now, this is nice. It gives you attack speed as well as you've got the basic attacks against enemy, reduce your target's physical protection. So this is something that's nice to have finished earlier on. This is why I may only grab like 1 stack in Fatalis to be able to make sure I get to the Executioner finished pretty quickly. I may actually, depending on how the game is going, I may bump the Executioner up before I even touch the Fatalis. But at this point, you're going to be definitely concentrating on keeping your Heart Seeker stacked up, getting your Executioner, your Fatalis, your boots should be almost done at this point. At that point, after that, I'm going to be looking at grabbing some Devourer's Gloves, and this really depends on how the game is going once again. Devourer's Gloves are a very nice item. They need to be stacked to be fully operational, so you don't want to wait too long, but if you're just totally face-rolling the enemy and you don't think that you really need all the extra lifesteal at the moment, then you can go ahead and grab the Deathbringer. But if you go the way that I go, for the most part, I won't get the Deathbringer until last. And once you get that, you're going to be doing insane crits and everything like always. So that's the last item on the list. It's just kind of the cream of the crop. for as far as damage goes, it's going to be boosting your overall damage quite a bit. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the abilities that you can buy from the store here and what I like to use. In general, on every god, as you guys know that may have watched my guides, I always grab Heavenly Agility. I mean, it's just an amazing ability. It's the way I feel. Now, Cupid, the way that he's being played right now that I'm playing him, he is very squishy. So I go ahead and grab Aegis Amulet to be able to have that immunity for 2 seconds in the middle of a team fight or something's going on, you know, especially if Anubis is, there's Anubis on the other team or somebody that can burst down insanely fast. You pop your Aegis Amulet, you can try at that point to then use your dash to escape, all that kind of stuff. It can buy you time for your cooldowns to come back up. Other than that, for the third slot, Purification Beads is always a nice option if there's a lot of disables on the other team to be able to get out of that any sort of disable. Other than that, you can also grab, I don't like to do this, but you can grab Meditation if you're having early game mana issues. I would go ahead and grab Meditation early on, which then would help you, but coming to late game, it doesn't, you know, it's not nearly as necessary, but a lot of people do like it for the early game lane sustain, especially if you're going mid lane. And that's another thing with Cupid, you can go mid with his supporty type abilities. He's a good duo lane, but I have seen people do fine with him mid as well. But in general, I would probably be looking to play Cupid as with a lane partner. Alright, now we're going to put together a little bit of everything that we've learned today, and we're going to just show you some of the practical applications of Cupid. Now, Cupid is very straightforward, essentially. His style of play and the abilities that he has are very straightforward. Nothing all that fancy that you can really do with him that's not going to be fairly obvious straight off the bat. But basically, what you want to do is, of course, before you're going to engage in any fight, you're going to want to have your passive stacked up to 10 stacks. So that way, if you open up with a heart bomb, you'll get that stun. So that's what I would do. Now, your heal, of course, is going to be thrown in at any point that you want. I would guess that it'd be best to throw in at the beginning of a team fight, just so that way teammates can almost like randomly, you know, run over them. If they see them and they're low, they can head for them to get a heal. If you wait till it's too late, they may be trying to escape and they won't be in the area. So I would say right as a team fight is erupting, go ahead and plop some hearts down so that way people can run over them as needed. But of course, like I said, make sure that your passive is stacked up to 10 stacks. Go ahead and pop that down, and so that way you can get your stun off. And if there's a, you know, a lot of them clumped together, you can get a big AoE stun, which is pretty cool. Then as quickly as I could, I would dash to try and boost up that attack speed once again and stack that passive back up to 10. Now at this point, you can decide if you think that you want to go ahead and give them another 1, which is your heart bomb, or you, at this point when you're stacked back up to 10, you can go ahead and use your ultimate if everyone's still kind of clustered up together. So now you have to also decide at the very beginning of the fight if you want to open with your ultimate, because there's nothing wrong with that either, especially if you're playing with someone with an AoE stun. You know, maybe you have Ymir on your team, maybe Wan Yu that's going to open up the fight with a big AoE stun. If that's the case, I would definitely put my ultimate down right on top of it, so that way about the time that they're getting out of Ymir's stun, they're slowed and then in the middle of your hearts, and guess what? They're going to get stunned again, and most likely, you know, they're going to be pretty well screwed if your team is doing what they should be doing. So that's a couple different ways to open. As far as in lane, using your 1 is very good for harassing, and using your 3 to be able to escape or charge into a battle if needed. So if you want to do something like this, charge in, bam, hit him with your 1 like that, and get that stun off, and you have the extra stacks. But the reason why I'd like to build up stacks to 10 first is so that way you can use your 3 to get that extra attack speed to be able to stack it up again like that. See, now I'm back down to 0 stacks. I do this so I have more attack speed, and that quickly, see I'm already up to 10 stacks right now. So at that point then I can pop down my ultimate, and then it'll have the stun effect added to it. Alright guys, so I think that just about covers everything we need to cover with Cupid here. If you guys want to leave me a comment down below, let me know how your games have been going with Cupid if you have him. If not, you just want to check out this video to see what he's going to be like when you do buy him. That's good too. Of course, still you can throw me a comment and let me know what you think about others maybe that you played with that have used him, and if you think he's OP, UP, balanced. Personally, I think he is pretty balanced. Nothing really seems stand outish like a lot of times happens with new gods. Nothing's too crazy. So everything, you know, seems to be fairly well in line, I would say. So anyway, guys, have a good one and stay nerdy, my friends.